Hello, my arty friends. Welcome back to my studio. I'm bringing you here today because we are all going through something we now know as coronavirus. Um, it's been recommended we stay at home, which for us introverts, we feel like we've been preparing for this our whole lives. So I am doing my best to stay at home as much as I possibly can. And that means I have a little more time to be in my studio. So I'm trying to make the best of the situation that we're in, and also force myself to turn off the TV because it's not helping to just sit and watch and see everything that's going on. So I thought I would bring you along every day in my studio for a little bit, whatever I decide to work on. I don't really have a lot of plans, but I plan on doing something every day, so I figure I'll go ahead and film it. And if you guys want to follow along, or maybe it's just an inspiration, so that we can all kind of find a happier mindset right now. So today I just happened to grab my little collage journal, so that's what I'm going to be working on today. So I do want to show you that I got this cute new lunchbox that a friend had, and I had to have it because of course it has Frida on it. So this is my new collage box. As you can see, it's already full. But this is what I use for this little journal. So this is the larger journal. I did have the little small index size Moleskine, but I have lost it in my studio somewhere. So I already had this one, which is a little larger. So I'm going to go ahead and keep working through my collage projects in this one. I use this a lot just like a warm-up, just to kind of get me going at the beginning of the day, and I just give myself 10 or 15 minutes and put something down, and I try not to think about it too much so that I can just have something that I can say, okay, I did that. A lot of times I don't have as much time as I would want in order to work in my studio. So this is the one thing that can kind of give me a little boost to feel like, oh, okay, I did something today. So this is really just kind of how I start. I will tell you this box. So I had a wooden cigar box that I was using before. So if you watched any of the old videos, you'll see that box. So it's the same idea. I just have little bits and pieces that I grab off of my desk. If it's a piece of paper that, like these I'm sure were scrapbook pages and I used a piece of it, but you know how we are. We don't want to throw these things away. They're valuable. It might be our currency in the new world. You never know. So I always hang on to all this stuff because I know I can use it. And I've been enjoying this little journal because I don't do a lot of collage. I've started doing more since I have been doing this book, but before that I really didn't do a lot. So I did have all these bits and pieces, but I didn't have a lot of places to put them. So now that I have my journal that I'm working through, it does give me something to do with all the little bits and pieces. So I just tend to flip through, see what's going on. I just pull out anything that kind of is speaking to me at that point. None of this really goes together, but for whatever reason that day when I go through, and this is how I usually do it, I pull it out because then I feel like the box kind of refreshes itself because different things end up on the top. So I do tend to pull things out in bunches and just set them to the side, and so I just keep going through. Ooh, I like that one. So I do have a lot of, these are old jelly prints that I've used for obviously something, but currency, so I've got to keep them now. So I hope you all are doing fine. I know a lot of kids are, or I think most kids now, are out of school. you know, those of you who know me know that I've been homeschooling my son for 5 years, so our days haven't really changed all that much, other than now he has more friends online because his other friends who normally go to school are at home. But other than that, our days haven't really changed, other than our outside activities have disappeared. So we'll be spending a lot more time at home, which, as I said, is not upsetting for me. I'm lucky in that I already work at home and I already had a son who homeschooled, so it's not a big adjustment for me. I know there's a lot of other people that this is a very big adjustment, and people who have to go to work and their kids are at home and they don't know what they're going to do about school. And I think about all the seniors who are supposed to be graduating this year. So that is why I am in my studio right now, because we all need a little bit of love. So, I don't know. Those are appealing to me, but I don't know if they go with everything else. So you can see this is how I normally work. I know some of you who have been in class probably think that I'm more focused, but no, I'm not. So let's see what I have here so far. Just so you know, these are off, you can probably tell, they're off of, you know, a spiral sheet. Don't ever throw these away because they're really cool, especially if you ink them up. But at this point, I just start kind of laying down, figuring out what I might use where. And this journal really, like I said, I try not to think about it a huge amount. So, like, I got the idea to go ahead and fussy cut her out, so I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to think about it a lot, because this journal is more about getting things done, not about making a masterpiece. Most of the collages that were in the first journal I finished, nobody's ever seen them. To me, these are just my warm-ups. This kind of gets my creativity flowing. Sometimes I find maybe a color scheme that I want to use in something later. Sometimes I just enjoy gluing stuff down. It's one of the things I do enjoy. So, but just figuring out what to use where and what looks good, and all these little bits and pieces that have been hanging around for a while. It does make me feel good to use them up. So as I start working through, and I do kind of quickly just go to gluing, because I find if I think about it too much, then I start thinking too much. So there's no need for thinking, at least in this. So I really just start gluing stuff down. And I do keep the things in the box because I don't want to spend the time going around my studio, because, you know, we all have that habit of finding the perfect thing. You know, that thing that you don't remember where you put, but you know that you wanted to use it one day. I would spend my whole day looking for something. I don't know if she's gonna work. Maybe. So this is how I just start. I call it auditioning. So I put stuff down, I move it around, I kind of play with the setup here and see if I find anything that kind of makes me happy. So hopefully you will find a little bit of time in your day to do the same thing. I always tell everybody that I like to be creative because it does make me happy. And it's truly something I do for my mental health, because I think I am a much nicer person if I am creating every day. Oh, I forgot I have these. These are cool. No, I might need that one now. So I do find that I am a nicer person if I'm creative, feeling like I've put something good down on paper or in my journal or on a canvas, and it makes me feel accomplished even if the rest of the day was not so great. I can still feel like, oh, I got something done. One thing I will tell you is that as somebody who has had their son home for 5 years, and my studio is right next to where we do homeschool on our dining room table, so my home business is very close to my homeschool. One thing that we have found is having a routine is one of the better things. So if you have your kids home for the first time, I would strongly encourage you to have some sort of routine in your day. We struggled with that when we first started homeschooling, just because there were so many activities and so many things that we could do that without that routine, we would have a tendency to kind of squander the day. So that would be one little tip that I would give you. I know I said this is a collage journal, but sometimes I do grab, especially my Distress Oxides, I like to grab those and use them. Maybe just to add a tiny bit of stencil. Sometimes I do watercolor too, but these Distress Oxides are really easy to grab and just add a little extra something on the page. I'm kind of happy with that right now. I feel like I need something up in this area. Oh, maybe I should just add some stencil. Let's see if that makes it better. A little better. So I'll tell you, looking at that, I'm somewhat happy. I feel like it needs something else. A lot of times I'll just sit and stare at stuff. Or I tend to prop it up in front of me so that I can look at it. For example, I have this journal that I've been working on, this face. And I just have it sitting up here so I can look at it, because I feel like there's something going on with her face and I need to figure it out. So I think I'm done with that collage. I don't know, I'm kind of happy with it. Maybe I need a little Stabilo pencil, because everything looks better with a little bit of Stabilo pencil, especially when your Stabilo pencil has white paint on it. So since these are unplanned videos, you'll get to see how messy my studio really is and how I spend time looking for stuff all the time, like my pencil sharpeners. So like I said, I just wanted to make a little video every day. Maybe, if nothing else, you just need something to distract you, and you'll enjoy just watching this in the evening or whenever you have time. I talked about, if you have kids, to create a schedule or a routine, but that's important for creatives too. So if you can set aside some time in the morning or in the evening or whenever it works for you, that you just tell yourself that that's your time and you're going to use that to make something. It doesn't have to be anything. Nobody even has to see it. You just want to create something. I just find getting in here and grabbing my stuff, setting up everything, that just makes me a little happier, and it distracts me, so I'm not constantly thinking about what's going on in the outside world and all the things that I can't control right now. I'm trying to remind myself that I have control over certain things, but a lot of what's going on in the world I have no control over, so I can just do all the things that are what I think is the best. So, like I said, that's why I'm staying home. Unfortunately, my husband and I both have families that don't live here. We both have older parents that we're worried about, but of course we don't want them traveling now. I would have been much happier if they were here, of course, because then I would feel like I had some control. Notice the theme? So we do worry about them, but I know they're doing the best that they can. We're doing the best that we can. And eventually, I'm sure this is all going to be a memory, and there will be all the funny memes about the toilet paper and the rushes at the grocery store and those things, and we will find it really funny. But right now, I know it's not funny. And again, I worry about people I don't even know. I worry about single mom who works 3 jobs and can't be home with her kids and that kind of stuff. But I do know I can't do anything about that. So in the meantime, I grab a glue stick and some scissors because I can control both of those. So hopefully you find the same relief in your day. Alright, so I added that Stabilo pencil and then of course hit it with some water just to diffuse it. And I kind of like that area right there. So I don't know, I might do some more of that. Like I said, this is really a time just to kind of experiment. This really isn't... A lot of times my art journal is where I experiment for something I might put on a canvas. I honestly don't think these collages are ever becoming anything. So I know it's a time to play, just to see what I can create quickly. And sometimes when we don't think about things so hard, you find things that you wouldn't have found otherwise. So if I had sat and thought about it, I would have probably thought, oh, putting a black Stabilo over a Distress Oxide, not such a great idea because now I'm creating that yellowish gray, but I don't know, I'm kind of liking it. I think I just need to add some more black into her. This is a stamped image that a friend had actually given me, but I just want to kind of maybe darken her a little bit. Just add some sketchy lines possibly. If you watch any of my other videos, you know this is one thing I like to do, is add, after I stamp an image, I like to come back with a pencil or a pen and sketch over it. I think it just adds a little bit of your own personality. And it also helps bring out the image a little bit. I'm just going to darken the hair a little bit, just to make her stand out a little more. And I might grab, this is a different Stabilo. So the difference here, so the black Stabilo that I use, that it's the softest, it's an 8046. But this red one, which I always call the red Stabilo, but the lead is not red, is an 8008. So this one is a little harder. It still is water soluble, but not quite as much. So it acts more like a number 2 pencil as far as the look, but you can still hit it with water and make it dissolve a tiny bit. But right now I just want to use it to darken up these lines around her, add some of the features back into her face that may have been lost. just to make her stand out a little more. Maybe she needs some words. I'm still struggling with this corner up here and what I want there. I think I kind of like that, but I need a little strip of book page or something to put behind it, just to make it stand out a little more. That one's good, but it's a little too white for my taste. So let's just add a little bit of that Distress Oxide to it first. I think that'll tone it down a little bit. Yeah. And then I still have, this is a little bit of walnut that I was using earlier. So I'm just going to go around the edges. No, looks like I don't have any left on there. I'll go ahead and grab that one. Stick that down. Doesn't stand up enough. Let me think. I'm actually going to grab some of Tim Holtz's words because he has those. I think the black would stand out better. Let's see which ones I have. Again, I'm trying not to think about it too much, but Altered kind of stood out to me. I think because I feel like we have a new normal now, or at least for a short period of time we have a new normal. So we have an altered sense. I think that stands out a little better, and I like how it plays with the black and white tissue that's at the bottom. Alright, so I think I am happy now. Oh, no, more Stabilo. I think we need to create some shadow here. I find the shadow just brings out everything, and it does make it look a little more dimensional, so that's why I like to use it. And I like to pull it down so it kind of fades to that gray. And that darkness right there was already on the page, like right here. This was already part of that scrapbook page, so it does make it work well together. Okay, so now I think I might be done. So typically what I do, at least in this journal, I've been dating them. So I put a little date at the bottom of the page, so I'll just grab my pen. Today is the 16th, I think. Yes, because tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. So I'll just go ahead and add the date. I like adding dates to things because sometimes I can, like my first journal, I never dated anything. And I look back and I really can't remember how long ago it's been. So I do like to go ahead and date it. So thank you guys for joining me today. Come back again tomorrow and we'll see what else I can get into. Happy arting!